Hello and welcome to Ideas with Diana on this January 8th, 2024. Well, today's topic is about space science, creator science, and maker science. The thing I wanted to mention about that is just when you think about things, the last year's been quite an amazing year. Just to give an example, um, this new year I ordered a new product. Um, from Mouser. Let's see, I'll put it this way so you can see it. It's two chips, and they are the CC3200 modules with 802.11 Wi-Fi compliance. So the system and the Wi-Fi on a chip, which I'm going to use surface mount technology, and I'm going to give it a try and see how that works on new projects because I have some things they want to rehash some software onto and some other things. But when you think about this, um, this is from TI and got it from Mouser about about when you consider shipping $18 each for each chip. Surface mount. Also, you can buy surface mount adapters almost anywhere. Jameco, DigiKey, also others. Electronics Express, in addition to AliExpress and sometimes Temu. But this begs the point. Um, we have kept up the technology to make computer chips like this, 7 to 10 nanometer and highly compact. But when I listened to the news today, I heard about where they're testing the lunar lander module to do a test landing on the moon. And for some reason, the navigation system lost its orientation and now it's low on fuel. And they wonder if it's going to land within a month's time as scheduled. Well, this begs the question. And the question is, it's almost like we're having to relearn everything that we learned up to 1958 and 59 all over again. Because basically what it is, it's just why is it so hard for us to remake to make devices to land on the moon? China's planning on to land on the moon soon. Russia's planning to land on the dark side of the moon. Um, and basically we are planning to we land on the moon. Um, Also, I think maybe EU is probably going to get into this as well as India and South Korea. Well, the question is when someone really lands on the moon, who's going to be first, second, and third? It's like the Olympics, and basically, or like for an all like in the Apple TV series For All Mankind, which sort of had the fictional thing where the Soviet Union landed on the moon first and we landed second. However, but in the United States, we sort of we were able to do more with it than what the Soviets were, but eventually we agreed to work together to form the Mars Seven Nations. However, again, this begs the point of this is not just a space race. It's also a technology redevelopment gap because I wonder how much of the space technology did we lose? I mean, with Russia though, I don't think they lost any because I think I can see from when they built the new module for the ISS to replace the alien module and donated it. It shows that basically they still are able to keep on the ball and other stuff, as well as cosmonaut training. And even with the heavy lift rockets, we still require heavy lift rockets to get up to the ISS. We don't have any heavy lift rockets. We do have the rockets from SpaceX, which are good for transporting people, but we need the heavier lift rockets like the Saturn V's, which I wonder if we've been able to reduplicate. There's some rumors that claim that we couldn't, that we tried in the 90s and we couldn't do it. And again, the case where if TI can make chips like this, we shouldn't have forgotten that our space technology to land a robot an unmanned craft on the moon. Come on now. And to give you another example, I was watching it. This is one thing that I ordered online. This is a consumer product. I ordered this from AliExpress. Oh, let me just turn it around the right way. This is an ESP32 processor on a device development bed with a touch screen monitor. And when you plug it in, it actually has a little calculator and some other stuff you can do. On the other side here, it has an SD card. Now again, this is developed for people who are who are doing things as hobbyists or makers. Many of them don't have PhDs. They don't have masters. They just think this is cool stuff. They pick it up. It's like on the DroneBot workshop. Pick it up, try it out, or even with Becky Stern, pick it out, try it out, or for fashion tech, fashion art tech, like I do, and also like fashion tech that Becky Stern does. Pick up cool stuff to do stuff with. And part of the thing when you think about how we get into this is, at one point we get into things where we get into timers and modules. This is a power supply. Again, you can buy on Amazon, AliExpress, Temu, DigiKey, Jameco, Mouser, Electronics Express, different components, 555 chip, 100K potentiometer, counter. I think this is a 7493 counter. So basically you can adjust it and this is a hexadecimal counter. And this button basically is basically reset. So you can reset the counter like this. So you can just press it. Now again, this is something many makers start out with, because eventually you get into working with passive components, analog components. And this again begs the question with this one probe. Why is the lunar module in that thing failing that it currently orients itself to sun? I mean, if makers can make this project just on a lark, just looking at some YouTube videos, or even just talking to friends, talking to clubs, God, we shouldn't have these difficulties that we're having with our space science. Or even another thing. This is something a lot of people are getting back into retro computers, and for me, it's basically the Z80. I love my Osborne one. I love the Z80, and even like with the dynamic refresh, even when the 386 came, I still loved it. And what I'm doing different is this is a 256K EEPROM that I'm going to have the Z80 run as page memory, along with the analog to digital output. And let's see, let me leave my notes here. An 8255 controller. So basically, you can hook up keyboards, disk drives. Sort of what some universities would consider ancient technology, electro technology. You can do that as well, and stuff. So it's and I'm calling this K-Multi-10. So let me just put it up here a little bit so you can see it. K-Multi-10, and again, why are we having so much difficulty with the space science thing? This should be old hat. We should be able to keep our technology, keep it going, and do other things. And simple things like reorienting to the moon, that was a problem that was solved and by the late 50s, and also for the Apollo missions when their module was made, that was considered a standard thing. And when you look at YouTube, I see people that bought code for the old lunar lander, and it's interesting, when the lunar lander met, one subroutine for the command module is called kissing, and the other subroutine for the lunar lander is called smooching. So it's like this. So when you think of it as a sort of sense of humor, kissing and smooching, with the code written by Peggy. I forgot her last name, but she's a famous developer, and also remembered by many people who are members of Sisters, as well as famous as Grace Harper in the lores of computer history. But again, why are we having so much difficulty now? With all this technology, simulators and other stuff, we shouldn't. I mean, makers and I can make this in our sleep. I can make this in my sleep. Actually, for me to make this would only take me about 30 minutes to wire it up. I picked up recently let me get my box of toys out here. Recently picked up a PIC programmer. so I could program the wind chip on there. Also picked up. Let me open this up to show you here. Let's open this up a little bit. And then there we go. Let's pull one out. That's two. You can see here. This is a pre-built of what I did here. But this one allows you to modify the length of the pulse as well as the frequency of the pulse. And again, all this is available and understood by hobbyists. It doesn't require a PhD. It doesn't require a master's. And the thing is, what happens in the maker and creative world, you can't fake it. You can't fake it. You can't say, "Well, I have a PhD, I have a master's. I know how to do this. Know how to do that." And I know how to do that. Well, what happens is if we were to use basically the rules that exist in like the Drone Bot Workshop, Becky Stern and others, the proof is in the pudding. Let's see some of these MDs and PhDs from NASA and these other space companies. Let's see you do a few free videos to demonstrate that you actually know how to work with electronics and sensing and navigation to some of us makers to prove that you still know the technology, because today I'm very discouraged about them losing control. I'm glad for the honesty. I appreciate knowing rather than knowing, because that means that's how problems get fixed. But also there has to be commentary that basically you guys can't keep resting on their laurels. You got to get this done. You got to prove. You got to make it. It's not and what I think is the problem is why I was talking with a friend of mine, you like this, or even like something like this. There are many circuit simulators around that you can run these things on, and the circuit simulators are very forgiving. They'll tell you that basically this is perfect, this runs well, and everything else. But the thing is, let's go back to the old car hobbyist days. People used to work on old cars, like my dad and I used to, and my friends did in Kenosha. When Kenosha was Automotive City, many of us worked on old cars. We actually one friend in high school, we actually took out the front seats of a Gremlin because he wanted to keep it as seats for his bedroom because they're so comfortable. He made them into chairs. But the thing is, what you learn about when you work on an old car, some other stuff, you work on a simulator. I say this is a spark plug. You put it in a simulator. It says, okay, you got to check the screws to make sure you have the screws on, so you don't strip the screw. Because a lot of people think, well, if it doesn't go in just prior force. No, you'll strip the screw. So you strip it, you turn it in, and then the simulator says, okay, it's tight. But what happens then when the person goes and works on another car, they put this in. Then what happens? They drive the car around. The car drives good for a while. Then the engine starts to go. It starts to rumble, and what's happening is because what happens? They put it in. It looks right, but as they're driving, the spark plug is sort of slowly unscrewing, becoming loose, and the connection, instead of being this far, let's say it's this far. So for the spark to reach the gap, the timing's off. And well, what happened? A simple thing called torque. In a simulator, you don't learn how to do torque in the simulator. Simulator is a keyboard. You don't know how to do torque. And for many of us who worked on old cars and also serviced old cars when we had them to keep them running and stuff, you learn about torque. And those of us who actually changed our tires, a flat tire rather than calling load service with a 1/4-ton jack, you learn about torque, but you don't learn this on a simulator. And that's what I wonder about with the problem with design today. There's too much simulation, not enough practical models. Let me say it again. Too much simulation, not enough practical models. So what happens when we launch things into space? When we actually do what's called the old-fashioned dynamic test, we find out things don't work. The gyroscope can't find the sun. We're running low on fuel. And even this. This looks easy. 3 modules, display module, development board, ESP32. Okay. Well, how many things can go wrong? On a simulator, what happens though, you could have it where if there's a software bug in a simulator, someone could put this on this side and according to the simulator would work because the simulator would be forgiving an autocorrect for you. But then when you actually hook this up to a real device, no picture. And why are we getting some strange things happening on this side? Or even this, what happens, this can go in either way. There's one way it can go in or another way it goes in. But on the simulator always makes it, puts it on the right side. But if you don't know how to read the lighting to make sure that you have it on the right side, again, simulation is not the complete thing. You still have to make models. You still have to make test systems. You still have to do it like the old way NASA and Roscosmos did it in the old days. You got to make models. You got to have people that are willing to get their hands dirty. Cut the wires, do the wiring, do the soldering. You can't have some PhD say, "Well, I'll just pass this off and not know how to check it." No, because you can also get dry solder links too. This is the reason why the first step in the model is you make a breadboard. 830 pin. And what happens, people say, well, you can only use these old school style sockets. No. When you go to many companies, again, like I mentioned, Mouser, DigiKey, Jameco, Adafruit, AliExpress, Temu, you can buy what are called breadboard sockets to hold something like this. You can buy a breadboard socket that will hold something like this. And the thing is, reason why people do it on a breadboard first is because sure, people are confident about making this stuff. I mean, and why do we use different color wires? Why do we follow the old 60s convention? Power is red. And if you use a 3.3 volt system, sometimes you use yellow as ground or as data. Also you may use red as a reset. And then basically standard data lines, if you don't have, you can also use gray. But why do you use red for power? Because again, this is the thing where we have to do get back to doing the actual breadboarding, and this is where the maker group is, I think, is actually more qualified to work in this new resurgence of the space program and space science than some people who are in positions now. Because I mean, if I were to have a module, I would trust. I keep forgetting his name. I would trust the one guy from the DroneBot workshop. I trust Becky Stern to advise on this module. I'd be glad to advise on module. I trust other makers because all of us know the proof's in the pudding. You got to know how to do this and make it on a breadboard. On a simulator, it's not enough. And even you got to know when you have pre-made parts, how to put them in to make them work. Also, you got to have the creativity to think, okay, how can these retro processors like a Z80 be reused again with new technologies, a 256-bit, 256K EEPROM, along with an old 8255 IO port device and an old ADC channel and a DAC 800. Again, you need people that have original thinking. This is not, let me get a book here. This is not about learning the book. This is about going beyond the book, going beyond the book. We can't afford to have any more lunar modules lost in space. Lost in Space was a great series, but when we're trying to re-land on the moon and there's other nations that are interested in the moon too, guys, we got to focus. We got to hire people who actually know how to work with breadboards and know how to solder and know how to do the old school where you get your hands dirty and even change your own spark plugs and change your own tires. They don't call AAA. They don't call. They know how to change their own tires, and also they know how to take out the tire plug when it's soldered on. They know about using a tie rod and adding a 3-foot extra section of pipe to make what's called an old-fashioned lever arm. Old-fashioned lever arm. We need to get these type of people work on the program, and most of these people are retired like me, the makers, the creators, some work in fashion tech, and they don't have all the credentials of a PhD or a master's from MIT or Caltech or something else, but they're the ones on the weekends that make the YouTube videos and for people to learn and even just to have fun. Electronics is fun, and they do it and even build their own workshops. That's what we need. If we're still going to try to do things the new academic way, maybe at that rate, as far as the United States goes, if we're happy on landing on the moon 4th, fine, keep doing it this way. If we want to land on the moon 1st or 2nd, this, and this. And the thing is, well, this ends the talk. The one thing I didn't do in the talk is if this was the 60s, the people that goofed on the lunar man not having the thing rotate to the sun, it'd be time for a good swift kick in the pants to let them know to stop being so cocky. This has been Ideas with Diana, and I want to hear from you. The best way to reach me is on X, which is formerly Twitter at Diana18. Again, the best way to reach me is X, which is formerly Twitter on Diana18. Thank you again for watching, and I'll have new episodes soon.